Okay, good morning. It is now 9:25 and we are just starting our 9 o'clock strategic planning meeting. It is August 29th, 2022. We are sorry for the delay, but we are having technical difficulties in our conference room. We've moved over to our hearing room and still experiencing some technical difficulties, but I think we're ready to go now. So thank you for your patience today. With that, let the record reflect that all three commissioners are present, our executive management team, and I will let Mr. Gimmel introduce yourselves and let you start your presentation.
Thank you, Commissioner. I'm Jerry Gimmel, working for the Spokane Indians Baseball Club.
Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Chris Duff, and I'm the president with the Spokane Indians baseball team. Thank you, first off, for taking the time this morning. It's hard to believe that summer is coming to an end. We've just got one homestand left with the Spokane Indians, so 6 games this week in town tomorrow through Sunday. We're currently a game and a half out of the playoff hunt, and we have Vancouver, who's just in front of us in town. So we've got a good shot at getting there over these next few weeks. So it's been really exciting to see the community come together and gather once again. This will be the completion of our first long season in nearly 40 years, so something we're really proud of. Today's primary topic is looking at the next steps of where we want to go with the stadium project, and more specifically, the funding of that project. Before we get into that specific topic, I want to remind us why this conversation really is so important. So I've got a few slides I'd like to go through with the group today. On this first slide, I want to point out 2 words. The word opportunity and the word partnership. Those are 2 things I want to be a theme of today's conversation and a theme of the relationship between the Spokane Indians and Spokane County moving forward. Here, next slide, man. This stadium and this team have been part of this community's identity for over 110, 15 years. The team was founded in 1903. The stadium that we play in was built in 1958. So over half of the 120 seasons have been played at the current facility. The partnership that we started with the county between Brett Sports was started in 1985. So over half of the games that have been played during that partnership have been played at Avista Stadium. This is something we all should be committed for. There's been millions of fans come through these gates. This is a huge part of our community. Generations of people have attended games, have worked at the stadium, have worked for the Spokane Indians, and have really been a part of the history that we have out there. Next slide, Ron. We've built this business, we've built this community asset on affordable family entertainment, and we've built it on positively impacting the community. We have 2 one-of-a-kind partnerships, one of which is the partnership with the Spokane Tribe of Indians. It's nationally recognized. Our jersey with the Salish language is in the National Baseball Hall of Fame. We have a one-of-a-kind partnership with Fairchild Air Force Base, something that we're very proud of. Huge employer, huge impact in our community, and those partnerships mean a lot to us. We brought groups together to form Spokane Indians Youth Baseball, Spokane Indians Youth Softball, and we currently have over 3,000 youth playing in those 2 programs. In addition to those community partnerships, this is a huge economic driver for our community. The Spokane Indians baseball team has over a $25 million economic impact on an annual basis. We have 25 full-time year-round employees, and we have over 300 seasonal employees. Our leadership is stable. Of those 25 employees, we have 8 that have been here for over 10 years, part of our leadership team. 5 of those have been part of our leadership team for over 20 years. Why does this matter? To me, what it shows is this is a safe investment. This is not a new team. This is not a new stadium. This is something that has worked for nearly 120 years. This is an ownership group that's been part of this community for 40 plus years. We know the stadium's in the right spot. We know the bones are right. And we know this community is very supportive. So again, I believe this is a very safe investment for the county. Your next slide. I'll be the first to admit that when Major League Baseball originally took over minor league baseball, the word opportunity did not come to mind. We were coming off of COVID. I felt like Major League Baseball took something that was really special and took our short season, made it into a longer season, took my family life that I had really figured out. But over time, I've realized that this is a great opportunity. And instead of being selfish and thinking about myself, I should be thinking about what does this do for our community? And I believe it's something really special. So when Major League Baseball contracted, that left only 120 markets. So Spokane is one of 120 in this entire country that has this opportunity to have a professional baseball team. In our state of Washington, we're very fortunate. We have 4 minor league baseball teams. We are one of 4 in Washington state. When you look at the Northwest, we're one of 6, only 6 teams in the entire Northwest. So when businesses are looking to move to communities, when individuals are looking to relocate to communities, these are the types of assets that are important. These are the type of economic drivers that we need to be using as an asset for our community when we're out there recruiting. In addition, I mentioned that my family life changed, but going from 38 home games in the short season to 66 events is a huge impact for our community. 28 additional opportunities that Major League Baseball and the Colorado Rockies gave us to positively impact the community. In order to take advantage of this, we do have to make an investment into the facility. It's a short-term investment for what I believe is a long-term gain. And we got one chance. We really don't get another shot at this. If we don't come together as a community, if we're unable to pull this off, this asset will be gone. And once it's gone, it's not something that we can get back. So to me, the conversation is not about if we should do this, it's how we should do this. How should we come together and how should we accomplish these stadium renovations? Back to those 2 words, we talked about opportunity. Now I want to talk about partnership. This is a partnership, again, that's been in place since 1985 between the Brett Sports Group and Spokane County. It's been a great public-private partnership. I believe the proposal that we have today is a very fair and reasonable proposal. When we got the Major League Baseball requirements, we worked together to hire ALSC architects to take a look at the facility, and take a look at what we needed to accomplish. ALSC came up with a 4-phased approach that was $22.8 million. The first phase has been completed. Again, a partnership in place. The county came to the plate, the Indians came to the plate. We accomplished phase 1 at approximately $800,000. That leaves us remaining $22 million. So that's phases 2 through 4 that the goal is to complete by March of 2025. Our partnership recommendation is a split. We're asking for the county to come up with $5.5 million in the calendar year of 2023 and $5.5 million in the calendar year of 2024. The Indians will also be a contributor to this. And with the county beside us, we will be the primary group to go out and raise the remaining funds and complete the project. With that, I'll answer any questions, take any comments.
Any questions or comments from commissioners?
So you, you mentioned there'd be a total of 66 games. How many of those are away and how many of them are home games?
So 132 total games, 66 are home, so half are home.
Great, thank you. And then does that include or not include a championship series? And is there a championship series in this league?
That does not include a championship series, and there is a championship series that would be after Labor Day. Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Kearns, any questions?
Where are you going to get the other 11 million? I guess, I know, several months ago you'd brought that the baseball team was looking at bringing 3 million to the table, and then that impacted the lease amount per year, and they're sort of different levels of that. If we came up with the 11 and then here's the 3, we're short 8. where would that come from?
So we continue to have positive conversations with current partners, both at the local level and a broader level as well. We believe that we have the ability to bring that group together. In each of those conversations, I think the challenging piece that keeps coming back is, where is the county in this? And, I keep relaying very positive conversations. We haven't gotten to a point where we've talked about dollars. So we believe that this trigger is the one that will give us the right tools to raise the remaining funds. So we're confident in the conversations we've had that with the trigger of the county's commitment that we can raise the remaining, we'll call it $8 million.
Do you envision those being more public or private dollars?
I think it's a combination of the two. I think this is something that's really important to continue that public-private partnership.
Okay.
And we would envision a combination of those two.
Okay, but I mean, if we come in with 50% being public dollars, then you're going out seeking more public dollars. It's looking less like a public-private partnership and more like a public-private partnership. So, I mean, at the end of the day, it looks like there's a lot of taxpayer dollars that are going to go into this and potentially very little private funding.
Sure. So as I said earlier, the Indians will come to the table. We're working with our current partners that we have in place, non-public partners as well, that there will be dollars coming from those people we're very confident in. So you're correct. There will be multiple. The goal is to get multiple public entities, multiple private entities as well, in order to get to the $22 million.
Chris, a couple of questions just when we were back on the opportunity page. Business events. So as we look at the economic driver that this is, which is significant. I mean, there's a lot of hotel room nights. You've got, I think it's like the home team stays in the community, but then as the away teams come, they're using our hotels. And can you speak a little bit to that? And then the other question I had too was on business events. Because there's a lot of opportunities for business events at Avista Stadium. And so how many business events do you have like in a year? So the Colorado Rockies are our parent club, and the Rockies have been very engaged in the community. This again is a new partnership. We're coming off of an 18-year partnership with the Rangers, and the Rockies are still learning where they can be impactful. But they have invested in apartments for all of the teams. So you're correct. The 30 to 35 players that are on our roster are currently staying in apartments in our community. When the visiting teams come in town, when the umpires come in town as well, each night there's going to be anywhere from 25 to 28 hotel rooms for those 66 events that we have. So it's a very significant impact to the community there. As far as business events, I believe that going from the 38 home games to the 66 home games, again, provides additional opportunity. The stadium will be activated in the spring. We're going to be staffed up and ready to do those business events. Pre-COVID, we would average about 100 non-Indians events per year. I think that's a great target that moving forward as well. Those events are anywhere from, corporate, events that, are gatherings for their employees or clients. Those are high school baseball games. Those are Legion baseball games. We've hosted beer festivals, all different types of things. And again, I think that, investing into the facility, investing in the right way where we can be creative with these projects that we're doing, that not only checks these boxes for Major League Baseball, but also allows us the opportunity to go out and secure some of those additional events. I think it's a market that's untapped at this point. We did a good job in the past. I think we'll be able to do a much better job in the future. Okay, and let me clarify just a little bit too. I guess amongst that, it's like I know that you've got the depot, you've got the Pepsi porch, you have all those different things that are happening during games that are businesses investing in that as opportunities for their employees to come out. And so, I mean that's one of the things I know. I mean, full disclosure, my husband does an event once a year. That's his company picnic, and so if the stadium were to go away, those things go away as well. Those amenities that are businesses use for entertainment events during the summer months and during baseball season. So that's why I was just curious how many of those you have a year. So it's not just citizens that are in the seats. It's also, which is important to have that, family entertainment, low cost, but it's also the businesses use it a lot as a venue.
So when you ask the question, obviously I went to non-Indians events and additional new opportunities as well. I was taking for granted the things that we do on a nightly basis. So with the 66 events, we have 30 what we call hospitality areas where we rent out on a nightly basis. That may be as small as 10, that may be upwards of 100, 150. So it's anywhere from little Timmy's birthday party to the corporate outings as well. Those are sold at a greater than 80% clip. In the summertime, so from the beginning of June through now, we're nearly sold out for the entire year. So those businesses, we're talking in the hundreds that are coming out, and that's just on the nightly basis. That's not counting the season ticket base, the mini season ticket base. With the season tickets, we've got nearly 1,100 full season tickets, and we've got nearly 5,000 that are both a mix of businesses and families that have the mini season ticket packages as well. So you're talking in the hundreds of businesses that use us as an opportunity to get their clients out there, get their employees out there as well for entertainment, but then also the families with the mini season ticket packages as well.
Thank you. Any other questions? So I guess, Scott, kind of looking to you as to where we'd find the dollars.
So I get the easy one, huh? So there's a number of different ways, depending on where the commissioners would like to identify how much of a commitment they're wanting to make, when they're wanting to make it. I believe Chris has mentioned here that is a couple of year period of time. You've got, remind me again, Chris, 5 phases.
4 total phases,
4.
three remaining.
Okay, so we've already done 1, 3 remaining over a period of time. So depending on where the commissioners feel comfortable with the commitment, we have and can continue to look where there may be available dollars to be able to utilize within the county. I don't have a magic bullet off the top of my head where 11 million might come from, but I think there's some traction towards getting some of those dollars that we could start identifying from a number of sources.
Thank you. Any other thoughts or comments?
I'd like to add one because Chris is being very modest. One of the things I was most impressed about, and I think Commissioner French, you got to hear from the gentleman, the player development of Colorado. The Colorado Rockies sought us out. And to sum it up, they said the biggest asset that they have is their management team is strong and it's just a very well managed team. The only downside is it's a nice stadium, but it was built in 1958 and it needs some upgrades. So it's unique, I think, in minor league baseball where a major league team seeks you out and says, that's where I want to be. That's a good commitment to that partnership. So I knew you wouldn't say anything about it. I wanted to make sure.
Yeah, thank you for reminding me, Jerry, about that visit. I did have the opportunity to meet with, I think it's Chris Forbes, out at Vista Stadium when I walked through the facility with Christoph. And, had a really nice conversation with him, probably better part of 45 minutes to an hour. And he did indicate, as Jerry indicated, that they like Spokane for a lot of reasons. One, it's a community with their kind of culture, a lot of amenities that would appeal to their players. We've got a good organization in the Spokane Indians and their leadership. And his only downside was the facility. And it's clearly not state of the art. It's a facility that's 70 years old, 80 years old. So it does need some tender loving care. Is this the right time and this the right opportunity? I guess that's for us to figure out and stuff. So yeah, so I'll just leave it at that. But I mean, his comments were, as Jerry indicated, they sought us out. They like Spokane for a variety of reasons. So thank you.
So I guess your ask is to ask for the commitment today. I'm not sure we're ready to make that commitment, but I guess what would the timeline of the commissioners like? Because in order to start the next phase in 2023, they've got to start planning here soon. I think that's why you're here today. So what are the thoughts of my fellow commissioners?
I'm first going to need to see some proposals of where the funds would come from, what accounts, maybe a rundown from our budget office might be a good place to start.
Yeah, I'm in the same place, I'd like to kind of have a conversation about what the opportunities are, where the funding, where the potential funding could come from, and what is it that we are not getting in exchange for this, and what is it that we are getting and stuff. So I think that's the next conversation and stuff. So, yeah.
Chris, could you provide the commissioners a little bit of an overview of that timing? So I believe right now there is some design work being done for the next phase, possibly phases. Maybe give a rundown of how you see timing of the construction to start. So when you need to secure funds, what that first tranche would look like, those projects that would be forthcoming, presuming after the end of the season is when I'm guessing you'd like to get going on a lot of those construction projects.
Correct. So we are, in addition to working with ALSC to take a look at the facility as a whole and putting that package together, we are currently working with ALSC and designing phase 2. And phase 2 is very similar to the original proposal. It's approximately $7.5–8 million, and it would include a home clubhouse renovation. It would include a batting cage and workout facility. We're moving a couple of buildings around to make space for others as well. Also in phase 2 would be field lights and a video board. So it's a nice mix of both the health and wellness for the players, but then also the fan amenities as well. The goal would be, I'm thinking in calendar years, 2023 for phase 2, 2024 for phase 3, 2025 for phase 4. And I'm looking at, and when we're having our conversations, back to your question, Commissioner Kearns, with the private partners and the potential public partners as well, we're really targeting January of 2023. That's when we're hoping to have the funding in place. We've got enough funds right now to continue the design process, but once we get to the construction phase, to the bidding phase, we will need additional funds. So I think we can work our way through the fall, but then we'd be looking for the commitment in January of 2023 for that first tranche.
Another thing that we're going to have to calculate in that I think would be very helpful when we're making this decision is sort of what does the baseball team's lease payment look like? I mean, right now it's pretty favorable towards the baseball team. Also, what's the split on repairs to the building? I think right now we're at 50-50, but then also we can get some information from Doug and what does it cost the county to have the baseball team there? I mean, because there is out-of-pocket costs for the county. I don't believe your lease payment covers what it costs us to have you there. So I mean, all of these things are going to need to sort of play into that. It's not just the cost of the renovation. There's the ongoing cost of, like, in some of the stuff you've seen and in the article, over the next 100 years that you're, what does it cost us to have you guys there? And so I think those all need to be calculated in to the equation as well.
Couldn't agree more. Yeah, I think it would be, if we're going to invest our dollars, if you're going to invest your dollars, I think we both want a partnership that's long-term. I think we'd be looking at a lease extension for both parties. And I think we'd be looking at a different rent payment for sure. I mean, we will be leasing a facility that's different than the current 1958 facility that we're leasing. We understand that. We anticipate that lease payment going up. We anticipate an extension to the current lease or a new lease. We'll just take a look at that. So I agree. I think we need to have that conversation as well. To me, the first step is really commitment, getting this funding, and then while we're working through securing the remaining funds, we'd be having those lease conversations as well. So I see those two things on parallel paths.
So you indicate that you wanted to have a commitment from the county by January, but do you plan on going to the state and looking for participation from the state? I mean, if there are 4 teams in the state of Washington that are part of this league, and it is an extension, if you will, of the Mariners, then it seems to me that the state should be engaged in this conversation. So talk a little bit about your strategy there.
And just for clarification too, I think the commitment, whether that's a signed document, whatever it is, something that we could go to Major League Baseball with, I would anticipate receiving prior to January. When I was saying January, I was thinking when the actual funding would occur. So just to clarify on that point. From a state perspective, we're actually taking a little bit broader approach. So there are 11 baseball teams in the state of Washington, 4 of which are affiliated minor league baseball teams. The remaining 7 are college wood bat teams. Much smaller operations, but it's a way for us to broadly impact 11 markets. We have formed a group where all 11 teams are currently meeting on a weekly basis. We actually have a meeting this afternoon. Those 11 teams have been working closely with the state and actually just hired a lobbyist. So we have our first meeting with our lobbyist today. So we are actively engaged with 10 other markets throughout the state. And we will be going to the state, to ask for some additional funding to be a part of this project as well.
So when, I guess, just to clarify, when you think you really need the commitment from the county to know, to be able to move forward. And I know being able to do that going forward with the state, we would need to have, they would want to know that we're committed, for the state to then look at funding. Because I think the state, if we're not putting it on our legislative agenda, they're not going to be wanting to commit to that. So I think that those are all part of the reasons why we need to make some decisions sooner than later.
Correct. I think we have, the public and private partners that I keep alluding to, we're very far along in those conversations and they are ready to take the next step. But this is the trigger for us to take the next step of that conversation. So this decision really will impact the others' decisions. And we would like to have this decision from the county as soon as possible. I think that's one that, again, is going to trigger a lot of different things that are happening right now in the community, in those conversations. So we're to a point now where we need to show some progress to Major League Baseball. We need to show that this community is committed to professional baseball in this community. And that needs to happen as soon as possible.
So maybe we can tee this back up, Scott, for September 12th. The 5th is the Monday, the 5th is Labor Day. I will be actually traveling to my civic leader conference on the 6th of September. So I will not be here for the Tuesday meeting on the 6th. So the 12th would probably be the best.
Okay, we'll do that.
Okay. Thank you very much. Any last or parting questions, comments?
Just real quick, I just want to say thank you again. I appreciate the engagement. I know this has been an education process for all of us as we've gone through this, and just personally seeing all of you out with your families at the stadium and experiencing what we do means a lot to us. So thank you very much for doing that.
Thank you. Appreciate you both being here this morning. Thank you for the presentation. Then next will be Deb Geiger. Thanks for working with us and changing rooms and all of that. We're not sure if you were going to be on Zoom so thank you for being here in person. Yes.
Okay, good morning. I'm here just to talk about a proposal for a solid waste rate increase at our transfer stations. And if you remember in 2019, I came in front of the board with a recommendation from SWAC to have a 3-year 2% increase each year from 20 to 22. With the caveat that I came before you each year to propose it again. This is the 3rd year of the 2% increase. I did meet with SWAC in July just to get their recommendation again. And I showed them some different scenarios using our rate model. And their recommendation was to stick with our agreed amount of 2%, which it's not a strict 2%, by the way, it's a $2. We round the dollar down. And so our current fee at $112 a ton for municipal solid waste and $54 for yard waste will go up $2 for municipal solid waste and $1 for the organics. And our minimum fees will stay the same. And then using our rate model, I just thought you guys might want to see some information. If we just stuck to this $2 increase for 2023 and didn't increase years after, this is what our operating fund will look like. So I just kind of wanted to give you a heads up. We'll be fine next year, but if we don't continue looking at our costs, we'll take a nosedive on our operating fund. We're pretty good with our capital fund. Go ahead. So this is our operating fund. Also, I wanted to give you just an indication. If we kept at a 2% over the next several years, we stay within our minimum and ideal fund rate with our operating fund. So the blue line is our fund balance. Ideal is the gray, and our minimum that we would want is the dark brown. And then our capital equipment fund, with those 2% rate increases is doing well. You'll see in 2023, that's next year, we're going to be spending nearly $2 million on a new compactor for our Valley transfer station. That compactor is about 20 years old and it's limping along, it's operating, but it's going to need some replacement. So. And then I gave you a lot of numbers to look at in case you had any questions. There's a lot of, if you look from 24 to 26, there's a lot of questions and a lot of, we're not sure exactly what's going to happen in November 24. Our contract with Waste Connections is up for our operating of our transfer stations. And we are actually looking for many reasons to go out for a bid for the next term of operations. And we're actually beginning that, looking for an RFP for a consultant to develop an RFP for that operations. We call it the RFP. But I want to give you that heads up that, you know, for the years 24 through 26, there's a lot of variables going on. And we felt it was most prudent to go look for a more competitive price. The last bid in 2014, we didn't get a lot of bids, and it was an accelerated, condensed, extremely tight timeline. This time we have the ability to take our time and really see what we can get out there. So we think we'll get some competitive bids.
Okay, I have a couple of questions. So how long is the term of our agreement? When we go out for RFP, how long are you looking at for that term?
The last one was 10 years, and I don't know that anyone would sign anything less.
Okay. And then when you're talking about the minimum rates, you're saying the minimum rates are staying the same. It's the tonnage rate that's going up?
Yeah, the minimum fee is when someone comes in without a ton. So they pay a minimum fee up to a certain cost, and then they pay a per ton cost.
Okay, so it's at $15 right now. Sorry, I don't know. The mics are all. It's a great day for the mics here.
Yeah.
And how does that compare to other, I know the Spokane Valley has their own transfer station. I don't know if the city of Spokane does or not, but how does that rate compare to those?
Our rate is less than the city of Spokane. I think both the city of Spokane and the Spokane County, we also charge an additional $2 flat fee per vehicle, which is sort of a transaction fee. We use it for environmental programs for Spokane County. I don't know what Sunshine does for a minimum fee, but I do know Spokane County is around $19 or $20, pretty close
Okay,
for their garbage. Their clean green fee is less than ours,
okay.
or yard waste.
City of Spokane.
No,
Valley.
City of Spokane. I'm not sure what the valley's minimum fee is at Sunshine. I
And-
think we get most of their self-haul.
So I guess I'm just curious as a consumer who uses it. So our minimum fee is $15, but that includes the other fees. Is that correct? Or is it the other fees are on top of that?
Other fees will be on top. So if you came in right now with a minimum load for garbage, it would be $17.
Okay. Okay, very good. Yeah. I think that's what the City of Spokane Valley is charging as well, but I'm,
They
Who knows?
usually
So-
stay right in line with us.
okay. That's what it seems. So that's what I just, that it's very comparable amongst the different ones. Okay, thank you. Yeah. Any other questions? Scott?
Google's my friend today, so the Sunshine charges $16.84 for a minimum plus a refuse tax as well.
Very good. Okay, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
And I'm assuming, Deb, I'm sorry, is this going to be on the, how is this, how are we determining this rate increase?
Oh, yes, it will be on your
Consent
public hearing.
agenda?
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
I think it's next week. Is it this week?
Yes, September 6th. September 6th.
I'm looking. I don't think it's this week either.
Yeah.
I think it's-
I'm
I think it'll
pretty
be
sure
next
it's
week.
Next week.
Yeah.
Commissioner,
We give you a week to
September
think about
6th.
it.
Thank you.
Yep.
Okay. Okay, it looks like you're going to switch with Lindsay.
Can you hear me now? Okay. Unrelated to the rate increase, but still in the solid waste realm. We're proposing a boundary line adjustment that we've been working alongside the city of Spokane with. This has to do with our Colbert landfill, which is in the north part of the county. On this slide, you can see that red parcel that's outlined, that's our Colbert landfill. And just for a little bit of background, in the late 80s and early 90s, there was groundwater contamination discovered. And to address that, the county basically installed, to simplify it, installed a pump and treat system to basically collect that water, treat it, and then once it was clean, discharge it to the Little Spokane River. The infrastructure for that pump and treat system was installed on the small triangular piece of property outside of our parcel, which is owned by the city of Spokane. So we think it was just an oversight at the time, 25 years ago, that, hey, we got to get this groundwater cleaned up. We'll figure out the land later. Well, 25 years later, it's now, and there's no time like the present. So thanks to the facilitation work of Matthew Kaza as well, we've been working closely with the city, who's already approved a boundary line transfer that would essentially make that small triangular portion enveloped into our parcel. So if you can move to the next slide. So the new boundary line would essentially just be that small triangular portion included in the Colbert landfill parcel number. And that's about all, but this should be on your September 6th consent agenda. Any questions?
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks.
Okay, next up will take us to Kat Nichols to come up.
Okay, good morning, commissioners. So I'm here to talk to you about the National Association of Counties Operation Greenlight. The proclamation is on the screen there. Basically, it's an effort that I would like us to make as a county in order to honor our veterans by lighting up our county facilities, specifically the courthouse and our Veterans Services Center, but any others that would like to participate as well, green during the month of November for Veterans Day. It's been a national, can I share my screen or is that, no, okay. Well, I guess I can't share the screen. It's actually, if you go to the NACO website, there's a really beautiful display of other counties and how they're embracing this operation to really increase awareness to our veteran community and appreciation for our veteran community across the county. And we're also encouraging citizens to light up their porches green during the month of November as well for Veterans Day, to honor our veterans for their military service and just kind of keep that. There you go. Thank you. So it also comes with there's also a toolkit on there. So it's lighting up the buildings for sure, but there's a media toolkit so we can actually promote it out to the community. I'm hoping to partner with Jared on that. But just a lot of opportunity to draw attention to our veterans and their service this November.
Very good. Do I get a couple heads ons for proclamation? Yes. Any other comments or thoughts for?
Is it the whole month of November or that? 'cause
No, it's
there
just a
at the
week. It's just
7th.
a
Oh,
week in
it is.
November.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry.
Okay, and I think I remember, I think you had, I don't know if all of us were on the email, but I think I remember seeing an email that you sent to Gil, and I think Gil replied back and said he was going to kind of see which lights on the campus we could swap out.
Sure,
because
sure. Apparently there's a lens for the courthouse that
Something
it
like
could be
that.
green and that.
Yeah.
We're actually in Veteran Services already taking care of the green lighting for our Veteran Services facility, but just to encourage other county buildings and other even citizens to light up their porches green during that week in November.
Yeah, I just want to say thanks, Kat. This will mean a lot to our vets and their families, and especially our Gold Star family members and stuff. So thank you.
My honor.
Yeah, no, I see it as a great thing, and that, yeah, hopefully Jared can help get the word out, and highly encourage everyone to light up green for that week.
Well, and one of the other pieces is I think most of you know that I sit as a vice chair on the Military and Veteran Services Committee for NACO, and our chair, Chris Lukasevich, kind of led the way and was the very first county to sign a proclamation. And I was hoping we could be quickly thereafter so that we can show our support, especially because of my position on that committee. And just as the right thing to do. It's the right thing to do to honor our vets. So.
Great.
When do we want to do this? Do we want to do it close to the week of, or do we want to do it far in advance?
So I think
date?
it's on the consent agenda, your next consent agenda, to sign the proclamation. Is it not? I think Gina said it was going to be September 6th. Not sure.
September 6th.
But whenever we sign a proclamation, that's not the big thing is getting the proclamation done so that I can work with Gil and we can work with Jared and start getting the news out to the community to be able to prepare for that week in November. Yeah.
Very good. So you just want it in advance to take care of it. Perfect. Commissioner French.
So are you thinking that you might want to put together some kind of an event or something like that to acknowledge the starting of the green light, and also to maybe make that a media event for the community?
Well, that's a lovely idea. Yeah, I think that would be fantastic,
Yeah.
especially like the first time we light up the courthouse, maybe having some sort of event out in front, veterans outreach, that sort of thing. My whole team in vet services would be completely excited about that.
Yeah, we've done something similar to that on other events and stuff, and I think this certainly, in my mind, rises to the occasion to where this ought to be a community celebration.
And if we're doing it November 7th, if we have an event that, I mean, by that time, I mean, it's dark at like 4 o'clock, so, I mean, well, I'm just saying, we don't, like if we did it now, we'd have to wait till like 8 p.m. at night before you could actually see it. But I mean, that time of year, I mean, it's dark at 4 o'clock almost. So, we could have something there.
Sounds like you've got all kinds of possibilities and we'll let you run with it. And then we'll look forward to the proclamation on September 6th.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, next that takes us to Jeff McMorris to talk ARP planning update and broadband update. And I think Arian, you're going to join him.
And just for our notice, Gina must be watching. She texted me and said both the waste rates and this proclamation are on the September 6th agenda. So.
Good morning, commissioners. Brought a little show and tell for you because I think sometimes I'm driving you crazy by telling you one thing one week and something else the next week. So this represents printed front and back the first 450 pages of rules. These are the 13 updates. We're actually over 1,000 pages now of rules around ARP. Sometimes these updates provide clarity. Sometimes I would say they change the rules midway. And so sometimes when you're told yes one week and then the next week we're like, oh, sorry, psych. That's why. So we are over 1,000 pages now and we're doing our best to keep everybody legal. Quick update beyond that, the other public health category, which closed a few weeks ago. The reason you haven't seen it yet, one of the projects we're waiting for more information on. There's been a back and forth with the health district on some of their numbers and information. So we're waiting for clarity there. And then one of the other projects, which is around domestic violence assistance, we're looking at some other possible pots of funding that could fund some of that request. And that's, you're familiar with some of the ERA 2.0 flexibility funds. We're looking at those. And then last week, the federal government let us know they might try to claw back some of those unspent funds. So we're waiting for a final decision on that, which we hope to have by the end of this week. Then once we have that, we will know exactly what the options are, particularly around that domestic violence category, which you guys are aware of, as far as what would be ARP, what could be something else, and then you can make those final decisions. So we are hoping to have that on the consent agenda next week or at the latest the following week. It might also be, if you so choose, the first category we don't pass all in one resolution. If we have one or two of them ready to move forward, we could choose to do that and then do the last ones once we have all the additional information. Just a reminder, the nonprofit category is open. It closes next Wednesday, September 7th. We do expect that to be, we expected to receive a lot of applications and probably a very diverse set of projects being proposed. And then we're also getting close to doing the second round of category funding, actually moving funds from the 101 million into categories. And right now, the ones that we're looking at, community violence intervention has risen to the top. Strong and healthy communities, neighborhood features that promote health and safety, the aid to tourism, travel, and hospitality, economic impact assistance, small business assistance, infrastructure, general, the water and sewer categories, possibly some additional broadband match. Just to remind you, we're hearing, we have that first $25 million grant that we're hoping will actually open end of September now. Are we hearing early October? You'll recall that once we expected to open in June, it's been being delayed and delayed. That one has a 10% match. The BEAD funds, which is a federal acronym, will have a 20 to 25% match. So if we got another 25 million of broadband, our match would be considerably larger. So that's just kind of a first pass. I'm hoping to chat with you guys this week, going over different thoughts and ideas.
And Jeff, those additional allocations will come in the form of amendment to our original resolution that you did in March. So we'll need to ratify that first and then we can proceed. So hopefully, based on your confirmation, we can have that before consent, either the week of Labor Day, that Tuesday, or the week afterwards, because that will then set in motion what we can roll out this fall.
And so far we've been looking, the categories listed off are fairly broad categories. So a lot of different ideas can come under each of those. So that's the end of my update. And then Arian was going to talk broadband.
Did you want to mention the affordable housing RFP that we're prepping for release as well? So that is the final category that was allocated this past spring from the first tranche. And wanted to confirm that that will be one that we will queue up for release this fall to ensure that we will have responses out maybe starting this September. Is that something that you're amenable for, to have that RFP? Great. Once again, that follows suit of the 3 weeks notice and whatnot. The other thing that we'll be giving to you before I go to broadband is what we're calling an internal status board, just because we've got lots of awards and allocations in motion, so that you can see, in case you have constituents that come, hey, where is that? That you'll have that status board available to you in printed form, so that you can be aware of that. As far as broadband, right? Yeah, broadband. We are finishing the final version of the CURB study report that will be due September 15th. I'm working with Petrichor, who is our contracted firm, on that. I did speak with you earlier in August about a digital divide story map index that we showed was being based off of Whatcom County. That is in draft form. I was meeting with the county GIS staff. That should be available for your next meeting after the Labor Day weekend. And I think that will be just a really exciting tool. And much of that information will be in the CURB report for the study area, but is being developed for countywide. So that that will be available. I think that's it on broadband. All right, we have a couple things for miscellaneous, but other than that, that was it.
Well, miscellaneous is up next. So if you want to just go ahead and go for the miscellaneous, I'll let you do that.
We just wanted to make the commissioners aware that we've had both Thurston Mason County and King County come to Spokane, not only for site visits, but from some pretty significant follow-up directed to both our county community services, behavioral health service organization, and then the senior director vertical under Mike Sparber about the Spokane Resource Stabilization Center. Both of them are looking to replicate that model because it is first ever. They are next in line in the True Blood funding that we receive funding for. So in case that comes up in conversations, that model is really taking hold as a very efficient and effective way for not only law enforcement and first responder diversions, but a way to maximize some behavioral health interventions. And as we're learning from Judge Smith in District Court, a way for in appearance diversions on site as well that are eligible. So wanted you to be aware of that, that it's really starting to gain some optics and momentums in our other counterpart counties.
Thank you. I'll just confirm, yes, that's happening. I was just talking to I was at a WASAC meeting and had some commissioners ask me questions about it and want to come take a tour. So I know Skagit is one of those as well that would like to see what's happening there.
Thank you.
Okay, that takes us to other miscellaneous items. I know Commissioner French, did you have a miscellaneous?
I did, Madam Chair. Last week, I had a conversation with Mike Sparber, and I see that he's on. So Mike, feel free to drop in here if you'd like. And also Larry Haskell talking about trying to institute a new program here at the county where right now when someone is arrested for domestic violence, an assault, and they bond out, there is currently no system in place to notify the victim that their potential assailant is back out on the street and stuff. So talked to both Mr. Haskell and Mr. Sparber about putting into place a program that would help our victims of domestic violence be aware that their assailant is now back on the street and stuff. So it's something as simple as just a phone call to the victim saying, you know, the individual has been released on bail. And so both Mr. Haskell and Mr. Sparber last week, we're going to dive into the detail on this. But both were very optimistic that this is a program that should be easy to implement. It shouldn't have a big cost factor on the system. It's nothing more than a phone call, but that it's probably more about coordination and shared resources and stuff. So I was very encouraged by the conversation. I'm really excited about, this is a program that with a minimal lift could be a big help to victims out there. And I know that all three commissioners, all three of us share concerns about making sure that our citizens are safe. And I think this is one thing that we could do that would help achieve that goal. So Mike, you want to jump in here real quick?
Yeah, I just want to tell you that after our conversation, I had preliminary conversations with the jail and working with those that are gathering the information in the booking area. I don't think this is a big stretch. You can't hear me?
You may have to turn on your mic.
Can you hear me now?
No,
Mm,
can hear, but not.
Hey, Mike, we're having technical difficulties on our side, so we're not going to be able to let you speak unless you're in person. So I don't know if you're able to come down. So, because we can't hear you. I mean, it's even though you're unmuted on your side, because of our technical difficulties, we can't hear anybody from Zoom. So I don't know if you're in the building and can come down or if.
Sure. Yeah, I could come down.
Okay, come on down.
So I can tell you what Mike was going to say. He was going to say, well, this is a great program, Commissioner French, and thank you for bringing them forward. No, I just taking a little liberty there, but anyway, so that's what I wanted to bring forward to the board. And like I say, but this shouldn't be a cost factor for either one of the departments. They felt like they could handle it with existing staffing, and it's merely a matter of setting up the protocols necessary to be able to make sure that somebody makes the phone call.
No, I think it's a great idea. If it's not already happening, I'm surprised it's not already happening. So I mean, that's great. Was there a certain group that brought it forward? Just because there's, as we know with some of our ARP funding, there's various groups, and we're trying to make sure we get our ARP funding on that domestic violence side.
Yeah, no, there was no specific group that may be aware of this. Actually, it was a conversation that I was having with the previous prosecuting attorney. As we talked about the criminal justice system and things that we could and should do, this was one of the topics that came up. And so we kind of evolved the conversation. And then when I talked to prosecuting attorney Haskell, he jumped all over it and thought it was a great idea and said, this is an easy lift for us. And then I talked to Mike Sparber and stuff. So that's how the program evolved, but it didn't come from any specific group. No. Thank you for asking though.
Yeah, no, thank you. Okay, while we wait for Mike to come down and talk, Scott, do you have any other miscellaneous items?
I don't think I do at this time, Commissioner.
Okay. And then I think I stated earlier, just so everyone knows. So we've got Labor Day coming up this weekend. So we will be off on Monday. On Tuesday, I will be flying to San Antonio for my civic leader meeting with our 25 civic leaders across the nation to meet our new 3-star general who's in charge. Our last one just retired. So I'll be looking forward to that and be out of town the rest of that week with that. And those meetings are actually, pretty impactful. It's like, it's interesting what everyone's doing in their communities. We get a chance to talk about what we're doing in our communities for the Air Force on the Air Education Training Command side is the side that I'm on. So I don't know if Mike's going to come down, and anyone else have anything to say before as we wait for Mike?
So if you're going to be out all next week, that means you won't be here for the opening ceremonies for the fair.
Correct.
So anything particular that you would make sure that we cover on your behalf or address on your behalf?
No, you'll just want to on September 6th, just make sure you approve the agenda for the opening ceremony. If there's an agenda for it, since it'll be more than one commissioner.
No, it's a good point. So that would have to happen tomorrow.
No, you can do it on Tuesday, the 6th.
Oh, on Tuesday, you bet. Yeah,
So.
you're right.
so
Thank you.
Just
Yep.
a reminder to
No,
put it out there. So
no,
thank you
no,
for
great
bringing it up.
point. Yeah.
So Jared, just to make sure that the agenda for the opening of the fair gets approved on September 6th by the commissioners.
Is that a 9:30 start time though for the opening? Because usually it coincides with the Council of Governments, but we're not
We're
doing
not
a
having
Council of Government, so do we have a start time for it?
I
Actually
have
haven't heard.
no idea. We'll have to check with Jared and Aaron. I assume the two of you are putting that together.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay.
Thank you. Okay, Mr. Sparber, thank you for joining us.
I just want to say, that's a great program, Commissioner French. and Thank you for recommending it. Is that what I was supposed to say when I walked out? Is something close to that? Okay, I was trying to get as close as I could. I had conversations with the jail on Thursday, Thursday after we had our meeting, or maybe it was Friday. And I think we got a good process in place for doing it. I think it's going to be beneficial. We're going to work with the law enforcement, try to get the information as close as we can about the victims, and then puts an alert on their release package. And when they go out the door, then they'll make a phone call, a notification for the releasing area. But we want to help as any way we can on that part of it for sure. So any questions about that part of it?
And I would assume, Mike, that would be true on like most people that are getting released, just, not just domestic violence, but other people would probably, benefit from being aware that if they're a victim of any crime or certain crimes, I mean, it's like, I think you'd have to determine, but
Yeah.
it'd be a good way to, if somebody's concerned, to know that somebody's being let out.
I think it's a good opportunity to work with the law enforcement for sure, to figure out who we should identify and who we could contact if needed, to let them know that they're, that the person is out of jail. But certainly we could start with domestic violence, see how that goes first, and then we can work our way from there. So. Mark?
What about Vine Link? Does that work for inmates out of the local corrections or just out of prison?
Say that one more time.
Vine Link?
But I don't know what that is. I'm
So
sorry.
there's something that exists, as you mentioned earlier, where you can register with an email address and it'll alert you when someone is released from custody. It's called Vine Link.
I haven't looked into that yet,
VINE,
but I'll
like,
dig into that. and
Works
see
for the
if I can
city
be a
or
part
from
of
the
it.
state.
Yeah, thank you, Mark. I appreciate that.
Yeah, I just wanted to say thank you to Mike. When we had the conversation, he was all over it, and same thing with prosecuting attorney Haskell and stuff. So really appreciate the willingness to dive in and try and improve the system. So thank you.
Yep, thank you.
Very good, thank you. Okay, so are there any other miscellaneous items? I do know, Scott, I'll let you, or Mark, I guess you're the executive session that we'll need to do. We'll let Scott. Okay.
I do have one miscellaneous item. Both Commissioner Kearns and I sit on the Northeast Public Development Association board, and we did recently hire a new executive director by the name of Jesse Bank. He started August 1st. So exciting. We'd been without an executive director for about, since the beginning of the year. So Jesse comes with a really good background and experience that I think will really serve the NEPDA well. So we're excited to have him on board.
Great, thank you, Commissioner French. Like
But-
once we start, it just,
Yeah,
it's a river.
just get me started. No, Scott prompted me on this. As long as we're talking to the PDAs, Todd Coleman, our current executive director for the West Plains PDA, or S3R3, has taken a job. Has actually taken advantage of a new opportunity. It's a great opportunity for him. But we did last week enter into an agreement to hire Jerry Gimmel, who has some government experience, as our interim for us. And then we'll be doing a national search to find a new executive director for the S3R3. It's an exciting time for S3R3, and it's financially stable. It's the fastest growing light industrial area in the state of Washington. So it should be a good opportunity to bring somebody into the community or find somebody here local that wants to take the ball and run with it. So that also is moving forward. Thank you.
Very good. Okay, last call for anyone wanting a miscellaneous item. I feel like. Okay, so then Scott, I'm going to let you lead us into, I think we have executive session items.
We do, Commissioner. We've got one under pending and potential litigation. And that would be about 15 minutes. And in addition to the commissioners, it would be our executive management team, our civil chief legal and Matt.
And Dale.
Matt and Dale also from our civil department, as well as Matt Zarakor. And that would be about 10 minutes. I'm sorry, 15 minutes. We've got another one under real estate, and that would be to consider the minimum price for the sale of real estate. That would include the same commissioners, our senior management team, Mark McLean and Deb Firkins and Matt. Are you part of that one? Yeah, and Matt Zarakor as well. And that would be about 10 minutes.
Excuse me. So you anticipate 25 minutes total?
For those two, yep.
For those two. And then I do have one item that's pending in potential litigation, which we'll finish with because it would be the three commissioners, Mark McLean and Scott, to be in that executive session.
That one is on what? I'm sorry.
Pending potential litigation. You and I discussed it on Friday or Thursday.
And I do have one additional one.
Okay.
And maybe we could slot it just before that one. So our third one, that's another one on pending and potential litigation. Commissioners are the senior management team and Mark McLean as well.
And
anyone else? That one, and that one's for 10 minutes.
10 minutes.
Yeah. That one would include Matt Koza. Or excuse me, that one would include Dale Anderson.
Okay. Very good. So then we have 4 executive session items. One is on real estate. The other 3 are on pending potential litigation. We've already stated who will be in attendance at each one of those. We'll finish with the one that I brought forward that will have the fewest people in it. So we are then scheduled for 45 minutes. It is 10:33. We will be in executive session for 45 minutes. We will be adjourning after that as no actions anticipated. I think we'll just stay in here. Yeah. No actions are anticipated. Is that correct?
None on the ones that I announced.
Okay.
Yep.
And not on mine either. So no actions will be taking place. So we will adjourn after our executive sessions for the day and reconvene tomorrow at 2 o'clock for our consent agenda. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. And we will see you all tomorrow.